Let's get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. Hi, you guys. You already know who it is. It is Genesis Omega, the one and only, of course. And I'm currently outside of Madison Public Library. We have plenty of interviews lined up for later on, so we're just have a few meetings in the next 30 minutes, and we're gonna set stuff up for tonight. We have a law club meeting, and we'll definitely get back into it with you guys. Until then, just to give you guys just a little scoop of what's going on.
Say no, then they process the bond anyway, with you being determined to be either belligerent or suffer from some mental incapacity. So arguments of I do not consent have no effect against this automatic system anymore. There is only one way to answer unreasonable demands, by responding with questions that highlight the unreasonableness and the absurdity and cruelty of what they are doing. For example, if the judge asks, do you understand the charges against you? The accused might say, will you be disclosing to me the essential facts to this matter first, so I can have reasonable answer to that question? Or you might say, how can anyone reasonably be expected to answer such a question if they be denied the basic rights of full disclosure of all the facts first? That's why I said you got to rephrase the question of what you're saying. And that's what we're going to actually catch them in. Okay. Let's see how many statements they going to make. Because we spoke on, asking is two words. Exactly. So we're going to see who's going to be asking the questions and who is going to get dictated to. People don't got to get put out their crib if they know what to say and do when they go to court. Mm-hmm. People don't got to get their car repoed if they understand the contract before they enter.
Or identify themselves.
Most people get caught up on warrants identifying themselves and get somebody that made them feel like they had to. No more superpower.
No more war machine.
No more corporations.
No more.
What is a corporation for those who don't know?
A person.
Fictitious.
Yeah, a person by a lawful definition is a corporate construct, corporate entity, things of that nature. So
Artificial person. Corpse. Mm-hmm. Legal corpse. According to law.
Yeah. It's different things. Before we continue, introduce the law club members. Nazir.
What's up, y'all?
Miss Jerron.
That's right.
And Sharif. So all of them are very solid, competent. Man, we striving for better. Maxims are the basis of where, even the foundation of where the law comes from, how it is to be applied. So we will be going over the maxims of law and how it pertains to people. Knowing the maxims of law opposed to the color of law, which a lot of people fall under. Mm-hmm. So anybody that call themselves Negro, Black, you hear a lot of people on TV like, man, us people of color need to stick together. No, that's their way of denationalizing you. Mm-hmm. They say it all the time. Don't be taking people's words for face value. Take them for what they really are. Mm-hmm.
Sure, but they will have you marching. Mm-hmm. And, they got different technology out there that can mess people up nowadays. So you marching and doing all that crap, it's not going to solve anything.
We'll be diving into the scriptures a lot. We're going over some scenarios, some things that people absolutely need to know. It might be somebody out there be like, damn, that's exactly what the judge just did to me today. I wish I would have known this before that. Mm-hmm. So this is how you get in and out of court. This is how a man effectively stands on his square and gets in and out of court. We'll call it the port, because the contract is the court. Contract is law, law is contract. That's why when you at the port, it says the docket for the day, or the docket, and then it has associated with a room number. So we'll be explaining a little bit of maritime admiralty. it's a lot. So, you know, trying to get people's minds right. You know, we realize everybody is in seasoning. So again, you know, it's everybody coming together to get their minds right.
Okay. So we'll be right back after this, guys.
Don Mitchell, and I want to say this every time. It's something I want it to be like our motto. We'll remember this going forward every time. Some people, some of you may be hearing this information for the first time. Some may have heard it before, but wasn't ready for it at that time. This information is not for everyone. Some may abuse it if they get it. Many keep this to themselves. We can't. Our communities are suffering and literally dying because of the loss of self-appreciation, which will be gained through knowledge. The Bible states in Hosea 4:6 that my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Others perish because they ignore the knowledge. I'm excited because young people, millennials, if you will, are grasping and teaching this law. At this time, we're going to go into it. I want you guys to sit back and pay close attention. I hope you maybe brought something to jot down some notes if you need be. Tonight, we're going to do something a little different, okay? At this time, we're going to bring in Judge.
All rise for the Honorable Jethro Juris Day. You may see. Go ahead, go see. Next seat.
We entitle this Colorful Court.
Dion, please come forward.
Is there Dion in here? I'm on 17 TR.
Is that Dion?
So there's no Dion here?
Step forward.
Okay,
You can step forward.
yes, man. Dion, please come forward. Yeah, Amon, let the record reflect that Dion here, he's present. This is in the matter of 17 TR
Mr. Dion, would you stand right here?
5876, in case of Dion driving on a suspended license. Dion here was observed by municipality Matson speeding 15 miles over the limit. He was driving under the influence. He had cannabis and open containers of alcohol in the car. The officer testified that Dion was consciously aware of his actions and knew that he was driving without a license and on a suspended license. We'd like to seek the maximum penalty of these charges.
All right. Can you state your name for the record?
Just regular or
Just state your name for the record.
Deion Thompson?
Deion Thompson. Great. Well, Mr. Thompson, I see that you're actually in the midst of another case. You have 4 counts. 1 count of forgery, level 6 felony. You have a count on aiding and attempted fraud, level 6 felony. You have possession of marijuana, class B misdemeanor, and visiting a common nuisance, class B misdemeanor. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Not guilty? I see. Well, along with the affidavit to show probable cause for the issuance of a arrest warrant, what do you have to say for yourself before I issue this? Continue, proceed.
Your Honor, it's obvious to see that what is he? What are you representing yourself? Do you have counsel in this matter? Are you representing yourself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Your Honor, I'll move to find Mr. Dion in contempt and hold him until we proceed on further case.
Well, before we ask him any more questions, it is my duty as a magistrate to advise you of your rights and to warn you of the consequences of waiving any of your rights. You have the right to absolutely remain silent. Anything you say to us can and will be used against you in this court. 3, you have the right to talk to an attorney before answering any questions. You actually will be going against a quite seasoned prosecutor here. And I think that will put you at a fairly disadvantage. Not saying anything, but I'm not sure of your competency level. And if you cannot afford or hire an attorney, one will be provided for you. So again, I ask you, how do you wish to proceed?
I don't need a lawyer, and I don't need a lawyer, and I represent myself.
Like I said, you actually will kind of be at a serious disadvantage here. So I will actually have, I will actually be appointing you counsel
thank
at
you,
this
Your
point
Honor.
in time. Again, say that again.
No, thank you, Mom.
Objection. He's being belligerent, my honor. He clearly doesn't know how to represent himself. Do you have a license
Yeah, do
to
you-
practice in the state of Illinois? How can you represent yourself? What capacity are you here in? Are you not the defendant?
Oh, I actually like to ask you the same question. Can you provide me a state license?
But don't talk to him. Talk to the judge.
Do you have a license to practice law?
Do you have a license? And can you provide me one?
I'm just the impartial third party here. Do you understand?
No. To practice any law, you would have to provide me a license to say that
I'm
you're
not
able to
here
practice law.
practicing law. I'm the judge in this case. I believe. Are you a sovereign citizen?
Your Honor, I move to hold him in contempt. He's a sovereign citizen.
See, I could hold you in contempt for a breach of the peace at this point in time because we're trying to, administer this case, and you actually are
But
a
in order to
belligerent.
administer, I asked you a question that I have not yet got proof of.
And what's this question?
Are you able to provide me with a license to practice law?
Again, I'm the judge in this case. I'm not sure what you're trying to hint at, but I could actually hold you in contempt right now.
But that's just a question that you have yet to answer.
I told you my capacity. What capacity are you acting in?
You still have yet to answer my question, Your Honor.
Do you not understand, Mr. Thompson?
You still have yet to answer my question, Your Honor.
I find the contempt.
Yep. Go.
Okay, let's proceed. So we're gonna go over everything.
Thompson here? Are you Mr. Thompson? Let the record reflect that Mr. Thompson is here,
Okay, man. Mr. Thompson is present. Mr. Thompson, you want to step forward, Mr. Thompson?
so we can handle this as men.
No.
Are you
Are you Mr. Thompson?
right? If you are not him,
You're not.
if you are not Mr. Thompson, we'll deem him absent and issue a warrant for his arrest and proceed accordingly.
I would just like to remedy the situation.
What do you mean, remedy the situation? Man, he don't know what he's talking about. I think he's one of those sovereign citizens. If you're not Mr. Thompson, you're Mr. Thompson?
Well, come on, enter past the bar.
No, thank you. I would like to remedy the situation right here.
Well, if you don't, I'll find you in contempt for breaching the peace yet again, Mr. Thompson.
How am I breaching the peace?
Again,
peace, Your Honor.
because you're now becoming a disruption to the court. I told you to cross the bar so we can proceed and handle this as men.
No, thank you. I would like to remedy the situation from here.
Well, okay, we'll proceed accordingly. We'll proceed accordingly.
Even before they even start, they'll say, all rise for the honorable so-and-so. And just like that man or woman is a flesh and blood man or woman for you, you don't rise for nobody because first and foremost, you're not a spirit. And you got to keep in mind when you go into the port that this is actually a dry dock ship in dry dock land. So whenever we go into the port and we look on the docket for the day and we look up our docket number docked on that ship, and they actually have everybody sign in to that manifesto for whoever boards that dry dock ship in that port of that court. So when the judge comes in and they say all rise, we always remain seated because you were saying, I don't rise for no man or woman. That judge or that woman didn't rise for me when I stepped in the room.
Okay. Right off the bat, they're trying to establish jurisdiction over you. As soon as you come in and say all rise, when you stand up,
We got you.
you know what I'm saying? Okay? Dockets, ships. Let's kind of, I think we need to go into that just a little bit so they can understand what all of this, where all the court comes from.
Okay.
And then free frame
Ships.
with the ships. And this is all court talk. You will hear and when you go there next time, you will hear this stuff. You'll be like, oh man, they're talking about dockets, documents, boarding, welcome aboard, all those things. These are things pertaining to the original. Yeah, go ahead. Boarding ships. That's where it started.
So prime example, when we was talking last week, I got highlighted in a particular section, Great Depression. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from that particular section. The Bar Association then sent organizers to all the other states and explained to lawyers there how much more profitable and secure it would be for them as lawyers to join this union and to be protected by its bylaws and canons. They issued to the lawyers in each state a charter for the Illinois organization. California joined in 1927, and a few reluctant states and the lawyers waited until 1930s to join when the Treasonous Act became de facto. De facto is existing in fact, but not total.
Not officially recognized, meaning that they're dealing with statutes, codes, regulations, ordinances, and citations, all of which are not law, but they,
Treat it as law.
exactly.
The citizens became captives. Under this system, the lawyers could guarantee prejudged decisions for the privileged class against the lower class.
So, if you will elaborate, when they ask, is Dion Thomas here? And you responded, you stood up. Again, you gave them jurisdiction.
Because you gave us the body. We only needed the body to confirm that, yes, we're, administering this particular case. We needed the body. You can't communicate, until you admit to being dead. I know I'm looking for a straw man. I know he's right here on this paper. So, another thing, when crossing the bar, you automatically enter into contract with the court. Automatically. Because it's a maximum law as well. As far as the law of the flag, whatever flag is being flown is the rules or the law that will be governed on that particular ship. So you'll always see the Maritime Admiralty flag behind the judge, and you'll see the preamble banner, behind the judge. What we think is the United States, right? Or even in courtrooms, you'll see the prisoners of war. Who's the prisoners of war? The people. Because again, we're operating under bankruptcy. So
we wanted to do the court scene because we want everybody to see how colorful it is. Colorful is meaning fake. Colorful courts, fake court. Colorful law, fake laws. And we wanted you to be able to see the extent that they will go through to try to keep you in the dark. So last week we to kind of help you understand how fake they are and how they'll go through any lengths to make sure that you don't know. We had some names, and I'll just call out a few names. I'm not going to write them down, take time, but I'll say name John Hancock, John Hanson. Give me some more names, those of you that were here. I don't know them right off the top of my head. George Washington.
Did you name off presidents or agents of the U.S.?
I'm naming off these. These were John Adams, John Hanson, John Hancock, Henry Lee, George Washington. What do all these people have in common?
They were presidents.
They were presidents.
George Washington.
Okay, George Washington. That name you recognize. George Washington was the 9th president of the United States. All these other names I said were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You ask yourself the question, why would they not let me know that? Think of the many young little colorful boys, young men in our community that could really have probably had a different life if they knew that there were this many presidents of this country before President Obama. Then you, yes, yes. And then you ask yourself this question, why would they keep this information from me? So if anyone that would go to these great lengths to keep this information from us, what are they not capable of doing? We see now, this is 2018, highly technological era. We have videos of stuff going on all the time, and officers are still getting put away. In the 60s, they probably thought if we had this type of technology, we could be a lot more advanced than we are. We see it doesn't matter, because if they want to try to keep you subservient to the law, they'll go at any lengths to do it. And the best way to go about doing that is to keep us in the dark about it. Now, like I said, everybody is not going to be able to accept it, because some of us, we've always from the beginning of time, have always had Uncle Toms. We've always had what's the one that shot the Paul Revere? He ended up getting everybody killed because they was trying to take over, and I can't think of his name. It went out of my head.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
Was it Benedict Arnold?
yes, we've always had those kind of guys, even today. So, like I was telling Levante earlier, don't be offended or upset because somebody don't, oh man, go on. You're going to hear that. Go on with that. This is for you. And as men and women, this is for our families. So we can start at home, making sure your sons, your daughters understand their rights, building them up to appreciate who they are. And then that's everything. So we'll go on and fast forward from there.
Dry El Juris here. Dry El Juris.
My Honor, as a matter of law, are you now saying that you are now administering the trust of Jariah L. Juris?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up?
For the
Dry,
record,
can you step
for
up?
the record, no, my Honor. Are you now administering the trust of Jariah L. Juris?
Don't tell me you got another one, you saw.
Why don't you come over here?
Yeah. Can you step past? The court cannot hear you. Can't hear you standing in the gallery.
I'm standing right here. This is fine. I can proceed.
If you are not the name Jariah Juris will deem him absent, issue a warrant. I issue a bench warrant.
Objection. I do not accept your offer, minor. Objection. I just stated for the record who I am. I'm just an aggrieved man in the land of Republic. For the record.
So you're the plaintiff then?
Objection. I'm not the plaintiff. That is not my capacity. However, I believe you want me to be the executor in this matter. Is it not the prosecutor here that has laid the charges for this case?
Again, I need you to state your name for the record.
Objection.
Or else the court cannot hear you. So we will proceed accordingly.
Objection, mine. I'm here in corporate persona making a special appearance as grantor and beneficiary to this trust that you're now administering. For the record, I reserve all rights at all times and waive none ever under UCC 1-308. My reservation of rights and acceptance and performance.
Can you enter past the bar?
No objection. I could stand here in dry dock land and operate just fine. I operate under the laws of the Republic. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution grants me that authority.
Say something about the
objection,
Constitution
objection.
again, and I'll hold you in contempt.
Objection. I hereby invoke the laws of the Republic to manage my affairs in this Republic. Objection. I do not accept your offer. Are you saying you now have the power to order this constable to detain me from due process? Are you denying me due process for the record?
Courtroom, aren't you?
Objection. This is my court.
Are you here?
Objection. I'm not here in a representative capacity, nor am I here in pro se. I'm here in corporate persona making a special appearance as grantor and beneficiary in this matter.
We have a count of forgery, level 6 felony against Jariah L. Juris. And we have police officer Keith Perez, who swears under the penalties of perjury as specified by the statute 35-44.1. Your objection is duly noted, but do not interrupt me again. Do you understand?
No, I do not understand. I believe you would like me to switch roles with you as trustee in this matter, and however, that is not my capacity. I've already stated that I'm here
What are you talking about?
The officer that we spoke is here. Is this the person that
Keith
we're
Perez,
speaking
is this the one that you called?
Objection. I just stated who I am for the record. Another man
Again,
cannot tell me who
then
I
bailiff,
am.
get him.
Objection. Did you just order the bailiff to touch me? Do not touch me. I will be accepting all public official oaths from any officers here operating in a public vehicle and a public official capacity.
The bar.
Objection. Will I be entering into a contract with the court if I pass the bar?
You will.
Can you give me full disclosure of that contract, my honor?
Again, that's your job to know.
No, it's your duty as an impartial third party, Article 3 judge,
but if you're not the
supposedly.
defendant,
Objection,
then
I'm not the
court cannot hear you.
defendant. It's not my capacity. I already stated for the record, I am the grantor and beneficiary of this trust. Now, I do not accept any of your
I
offers.
see we have a brief written, and I'm gonna read it off for the prosecutor. While it appears that the defects in the complaint is containing an incomplete or otherwise insufficient statement of a good cause of action, may be waived. A failure to state or to recognize is such a fundamental defect that it cannot be waived in any risen case by any means, or even on the court's own motion. So the court actually cannot hear you until
Objection,
can you state your name
you
for
just
the record?
clearly stated for the record in that case law that the court cannot proceed if it has a defective complaint. I don't understand any of the charges. I do not recognize
What I am
you.
saying, well,
You have yet
misunderstand
to
the
present
procedure.
me with your name, nationality, and delegation of authority order to establish your legal relationship in this matter, to establish you have the proper standing in this matter, to even speak to me on case rationale.
Can I speak?
What?
Your Honor, after your permission.
Objection, he do not have the standing in this matter to speak.
are you? Who are you?
Objection,
Can you state your
objection.
name
I
for
just
the record?
stated who I am for the record. I just told you I am
Again.
here in purpose persona, making
I
a
said
special
your name.
appearance.
State your name.
I do
for
not
the
have a
record.
name. I am
Then
not
the court
Christian
can
cattle.
hear you.
I am not a U.S. citizen. I am not here in a representative capacity. As I stated for the record and on the record, and let the record reflect, I'm here in purpose persona, making a special appearance as grantor and beneficiary in this trust that you are now administering as judge in this matter. Are you not the trustee for the record?
I'll rewind just a little bit.
Okay.
And give that statement of your persona.
Okay, when I say, okay, how you say, are you here in pro se? Most people go to court, they'll say they in pro se. They'll say they here representing themselves. You can't represent yourself if you've never been presented before. So whenever you in court and they ask you what's your standing or what's your capacity that you're acting in, your proper status would be propria persona si juris. That's one's own proper person in law. So with that being overstood, if they ask you, what capacity are you acting in, or are you here in pro se, your answer would be to them, no, I'm here in propria persona, making a special appearance. See, most people go by way of general appearance, and they just show up and, stand up whenever the black robe call their name. Well, that's making a general appearance. That's one, surrendering jurisdiction over your body or over your physical body, which is another form. That'd be persona jurisdiction, because for them to have jurisdiction over you, they gotta have subject matter jurisdiction, they gotta have territorial jurisdiction, and they have to have persona jurisdiction, which is jurisdiction over the body. So whenever you step into a courtroom and you're not there in a representative capacity, you're only there to present yourself. You're not representing yourself, because only attorneys licensed to practice law can only do that in the state of. And the state of is just synonymous with, the state without Illinois. It's just like saying, the United States without America. It's the same thing. It's an all caps corporation, a corporal construct that they use to get us under various guises to strip us of our rights using color of law.
Again, all of this is about what?
Status.
Status, jurisdiction. You don't want to go in there, you're not going to court arguing contracts.
Yeah, you're not talking
We're
about
not-
the facts of the
none of
case.
that. No.
Why you're there? No, we gotta properly establish that you are who you say you are.
We already
before
got
we
to
can
that.
even
We're
get
not
to
even
that.
gonna get to that. They'll never be able to even get to that because they have to put a body on this.
Yeah.
They
You gotta
can't put a
accept
body on it
suretyship.
because he's not saying, I'm not that corporation that you're saying I am. I'm not that person. I'm a living, breathing man standing right here. Again, I use the analogy. Work Study Enterprises is a corporation. Work Study Enterprises can't speak. Sean Mitchell, as a representative, can speak for Work Study Enterprises. So I'm here on special appearance on behalf of the, see what I'm saying? Correct?
Right, okay.
Like normally when like a commotion like that happen, it depends on how much fear you give into the judge. But normally when they get like that far, they'll like clear everybody else and just bring in more sheriffs on you. Just
Yeah,
lock the
recess.
doors basically. Just be like, get out, but you gotta stay.
Fear and intimidation.
If you don't fall for it,
These are the
if
tactics.
you don't fall for it, then you basically standing in your square solid. They gonna see what pushes your buttons, and they gonna try to assault you, do everything they can, like they can do to like get a bruise out of you. But
They
if
will
you solid in your
bring in
foundation, you all
15
good to go.
sheriffs on you, 20 sheriffs
Even
on you.
snatch you up, cuff you, and bring you past the bar. I've experienced that.
I have myself, and the creator has found a way for me to get in and out each and every time. So, you know,
Vontae, yes, sir.
I had a DUI, the police, well, we ain't gonna talk about that, but I had a DUI and I wanted to represent myself. The judge still gave me a public defender. They wouldn't even let me represent myself. I told the judge, when I go in court, can't nobody talk but me. The public defender can't talk. They say what they say, but I'm talking. Me and the state's attorney be going at it because I've been in court so long. I'm just not gonna let them say what they want to say. And I don't know exactly what to say, but I'm gonna say what's on my heart and not get in court. You understand what I'm saying? But I see sometimes they'll still give you a public defender.
Well, for those of you that wasn't here last week, again, when they give you an attorney, they're saying that you're either a minor or that you're totally incompetent to represent yourself. That's what they're saying. So, again, if you know what to say, you don't need anyone. You know your own affairs.
Devontae? If Devontae's not here, we'll deem him absent and issue a warrant for his arrest.
You're just not here, Judge. Let's proceed
Well,
accordingly.
I'm gonna put a bench warrant out.
Let's set it for.
It seemed like he was actually on house arrest the last time he was here, so we'll send some sheriffs out and we'll revoke his bond and up it from 50 to 100.
Yeah, motion to confirm aperture up to 100,000 D, 10,000 to walk.
Granted. We'll grant that.
Next case, alright. Just like that. Now you got a warrant out for your arrest.
Yeah, that's a door of dishonor.
Silence.
We say it's only 4 doors you can go through in court. One is arguing. People love to argue. Yeah, get in court and argue back and forth about something that has nothing to do with what's happening. We got acquiescence, which is silence. That's a door of dishonor. Because you didn't say nothing, we was able to continue to adjudicate and push your paperwork through. Meaning, that's a door of dishonor. You remain silent, or you can fully accept it. That's the door of honor. But we never like their terms and conditions, or will conditionally accept. Meaning, you'll accept these charges upon certain conditions being fulfilled on our behalf. Like if there's an injured third party and nobody's in court to say I'm the injured third party, then that's our job to come up with the injured third party to bring the claim against you.
Is there a man here with a verified claim against me, willing to testify with first-hand knowledge for the charges related in this matter? It'd be a question you'll ask, you would direct it towards the prosecutor, or you just, state it out loud. Anybody have a claim against me, please come forward. Let me see it. It's just, different questions that you gotta ask to, pretty much undress them, because really they're not gonna answer your questions. They can't answer your questions. So you wanna get it on the record. You wanna establish the record, because when it's time to move it to a higher court and sue them, you already have all this evidence already set in stone. So it won't be no denying that, you reserved your rights, you asked these questions, they did not provide you with the answers, they did not remain honorable, they did not give you full disclosure of any contracts that they tried to contract you into. So, you can't be held liable. And it's like, it's just a lot more easier if you take control of the courtroom and you're the one asking the questions, because the ones asking the question is as king. You in there for charges and statutes. Well, statutes don't apply to flesh and blood, man. Go ahead, brother Mitchell.
So, back to Levante's question. So if they going and delegate you a public defender, I guess probably the best thing for you to do would have been to tell them what I just said. I'm competent to represent myself. I'm not a minor. throw their own understand our terminology back at them, and or is there anything else that he can add to that?
One time when I first boarded the ship, and I was studying before I did this, the judge was like, "Are you sure you're competent enough to understand what's happening?" And at this point in time, I wasn't fully competent to understand what was happening around me. She's not really coming at your intelligence. She's talking about like lawful intelligence in a sense. Like, you know what's really happening around you? And I told her, I'm a flesh and blood man. I can present myself. And that was like a gut check to her, because they deal with corporate constructs all day, people that comes up and accept these liabilities. Not a flesh and blood man that will go to bat with them, you know. So that's just a term I use. You know, I'm a natural flesh and blood man, you know. And so with nationality, it ties you back to cultural, landmass, history, and a group of people. So by saying that, that's like a broad term, because which Aboriginal?
Well, then it's not really pertaining to the situation at hand.
Right, and that's another thing. You gotta know which court you in.
Right.
You can't be in equity court talking about nationality.
Right.
You can't be in traffic court talking about nationality. You know, each of these courts
Different.
You know, sometimes it's different courts for different things. That's why when he said something about the Constitution, to me this is equity court. So you have no grounds to say nothing about the Constitution in equity court. That's why I can almost find him in contempt for bringing up something of that nature.
And also they have the setup different in different venues. They might not have the border. They might just have the chairs out, just do it in reverse, and then you don't know what to do. You was like, where the border at? Because many a times it was like, where the border at?
Yeah, that's
You probably wonder why the chairs was.
What's the border? Like you talking about
The bar,
dry
bar.
and basically
That's
Yeah,
when you step across that
Unless
bar.
you cross
you
the
need
bar.
Dry land.
Take
You go
that.
up on the ship into the sea.
right. You automatically
You leaving the
will
port.
automatically be boarding the ship. It's almost like the boat that's near the beach downtown. How it's docked right next to the beach. It's just like that. If you go to the different courthouses, just begin to look at the architect of how everything is. It's normally shaped like a ship or near some body of water, or you'll have the three flags, whether it's a Cook County flag, the Maritime Advocacy flag, the Prisoners of War flag, that POW flag, plus the commercial banner. You know, we all know. And that's what it's about, being aware of what's happening to contract you, to get you on the ship so we can contract you, fleece you, whip you, beat you, and then toss you back overboard.
Look
That's
at
what's
the
happening.
metaphors in this. If you go on that ship, there's water all around you. You're in their jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? You can't escape. You know, unless you jump off and, you know, swim back to land. But you got sharks, you know, current. You don't want to board that ship.
First and foremost, if you get held in contempt, they never just put you in contempt. They try to bring you right back out when everything dies down, so we can see if we can contract them into contempt. You know, at that point in time, that's one maxim of law. He who brings the obligation must provide remedy. So we was talking about trust law last week, when the prosecutor is the executor and the defendant is, you know, the beneficiary. And anything positive that happens is supposed to happen really to the defendant, if he knows how to administer his trust. And the judge is the trustee. So with that being said, if I'm holding somebody in contempt as a judge, I am now the prosecutor in this case, because I'm trying to, you know, bring a claim, you know, to you. Now, whether or not you accept it, if you accept it, it's not going to be in your best benefit. But, you know, if you know what to say, and that's what we'll be getting into this class, what to say, when to say it, and it's backed up by the scriptures. That's, man, when things are rooted in the word, you know you in the right direction. So we definitely want to get started on this particular thing?
The fear tactic is the unknown. If you already know that there's a possibility that you may be down in Timbuktu, Illinois, and there's a possibility they may hold you in contempt. There's a possibility that they may put you in handcuffs. Possibly they may put you in jail. But understand, it's not to hold you. It's to put fear into you. It's to intimidate you. And as Jethro said, then they're going to bring you back out. Hopefully now, you like, oh shoot, this stuff ain't working. You know what I'm saying? But they're not going to, I mean, they held you what? 4 hours, 4 hours.
Okay.
You know, it sometimes doing things, it may take some time, but you're not going to do time because the law is on your side. You know what I'm saying? So that's where, you know.
And that's their trump card,
Yeah.
too. When they at their wits' end, I can threaten him with contempt, you know? Trying to, you know, get him into subject matter. That's really how you can get held in contempt. Going into court talking about the facts of the case. We were just speaking on this. You know, the facts of the case have nothing to do with what's happening. I just need you to stand in long enough so I can contract you and keep you moving.
Because what case? What case? Why are we talking about a case? There's no crime been committed. Is there an injured third party here? If there is no, what you say?
Corpus delicti.
Yes.
Injured third party. If there's no corpus delicti, this is just a big tort, which is a fraud against already previously established res judicata, which is Supreme Court decisions that already recognize your constitutionally secure rights. Because we know the Constitution don't give us rights, it's just a covenant with us in the United States Corporation that secures them. The Treaty of 1786, 1787, the Peace and Friendship, is the treaty between us and the United States Corporation. So, you know, it's just one thing to keep in mind, you know. We always, some people say another thing that always have gotten me too. A lot of people say it's their inalienable rights. Well, it's not inalienable or unalienable, it's inalienable. They're trying to place liens and complaints against your name. They charge you your all caps trust, committing fraud because actually there's no monetary value in it. So it's just one thing to keep in mind.
So can you turn to Exodus chapter 20, verse 13?
Mario.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Read that one more time, because I'm gonna tell you how it correlates with the working man is worthy of his hire.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
So this goes to even show you the biggest thing to do now is when people, you know, kind of crack cards and things of that nature, right? Read that one more time because it's so prevalent to what's happening right now. This is why people get caught because they violate the maxims of law, you know, things. That's why I can read off. We're charging him with an attempt fraud, level 6 felony, forgery, and things of that nature, because again, they're violating clear maxims of law that's in the scripture. So again, read that one more time.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him.
See, now that's a phrase again that's worth repeating. One more time.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Meaning, when people actually, have you heard of labor ready when you get paid daily? Read that second part of that scripture. This is what they're talking about. Being able to be paid daily for your wages, your work, because you're worthy of your hire.
Wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Meaning you shouldn't be waiting until the next day to get paid, you know? So, can you turn to Exodus chapter 21, verse 23?
And again, while he's finding that, the third thing I said when we first opened, when I talked about this information not for everyone, some may abuse it. That's something you have to consider. This is not for people that want to go out and say F the police. You know, it's not about that. It's about being who you are, being able to travel freely throughout the land. It's about not being racially profiled any longer, you know, and getting caught up because they want to do that. But it's not to go out and, you know, break laws, et cetera, or, you know, I'm referring to maximum law. All of this points back to the Bible because the original laws came from there. If we abide by the laws that's in there, which the land is, that's what the land goes by. But they have found a way to deviate from those laws little by little, you know, to make money.
Thou shalt not convert thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not convert thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die. No, least we die.
Can you read that first portion?
Which one?
Well, thou shalt not.
16?
Covet.
Come on, false witness?
Yes.
Okay. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
All men are equal under law. If you don't do this to me, it will not be done unto you. You know, we're all equal under law. You know, so why would we want anyone conflicting with what we have doing in our household if we're not going to do it to you? You know, Revelation is, you know, is real big in the Bible and how it pertains to the maximum law. So can you go to Leviticus chapter 24, verse 17? And for the third one is truth is sovereign in commerce.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Yeah.
That's Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Good. Now can you go to Psalms 117, verse 2?
And again, guys, this is Lincoln letting you see. I mean, this is the word of the Lord. You know, this is nothing far-fetched. This is the law that we're supposed to be able to be happy to uphold.
For his merciful kindness is great towards us, and the truth of the Lord endureth forever. Praise ye the Lord.
Truth is sovereign in commerce. Repeat that one more time.
For his merciful kindness is great towards us, and the truth of the Lord endureth forever. Praise ye the Lord.
You can expound on that.
And not just a sidetrack, just for a little bit. The verse reads, But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. So, I'm gonna read that one more time. That's James 2:9. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Now,
Go ahead. Interject. A lot of people get afraid in front of the black robe, meaning, hey, you are respecters of persons. Just because the judge is sitting up a little higher than everybody else, that's psychological. God is no respecter of person or man. You know, he respects his word. He honors his word. So if what we like to do is quote God's law, then kind of quote it back to them and compare their law to God's law. Their law, it will always be subservient to the Creator's law. So that's just another tactic we use when we go into court. We use the scriptures.
all right, so another thing with that, as you understand, according to Federal Regulations Civil Procedure 44.1, nobody in the courtroom is on your plane except the clerk of the court. And the clerk of the court is the only woman operating in an official capacity as the trustee of that trust that is being administered by the judge. She's the trustee of the constructed trust, which is your case number. And they use that constructed case number
to interact with your all caps entity birth certificate to create joiner. So she is actually the one that's pulling all the strings, that's telling the judge, you know, what's to say. And Federal Regulation Civil Procedure 44.1 tells us that, you know, nobody is on our plane except the court. Everybody in the courtroom, the judge, the prosecutor, the bailiff, the defendant, the DA, they're all actors of the court. You're not the defendant. You never go in the position of defense. Yes.
That's anytime we get addressed from any debtors that wants credit from us, they're addressing, you know, us. So it's just like, you know, just having somebody just call my name in all caps and want me to, you know, answer to it. That's not how I was created, you know. You see people's tombstones that have all capital letters. That's where it derives from, you know. So anytime you get any court documents, just know that they're not talking about you. And that's how you can kind of relieve some of the stress. And it began to study too, you know, as we increase our capacity. It's substance over doctrine. Your behavior must match your assertions. You know, you can't claim something and not be prepared to defend it. You know, because that's really how they punish you, through the administrative process. If you heard me tell him, well, you misunderstand procedure, you need to file a motion in order for the court to hear you. That was just my way of trying to throw him off track.
Objection. Is this not a court of record? You're instantly counter. If this is not a court of record, well then I will seek administrative leave of the court to remove this to federal court. And that will actually be where you'll be filing an injunction against the judge of that particular courtroom. But 10 times out of 10, he's going to tell you, yes, this is a court of record. And then you're just, okay, well, for the record, and that's a common law court. So that's just another ploy that they use to try to, you know, throw you off your square or throw you off from setting the record. Because once the record is set, they have no case. Once you get these questions on the record and ask them, and they must answer them, and if they don't give you full disclosure, well then that's a violation of due process, of the due process clause.
Very good point too, to make sure we understand. When he was over here, we're going through that scenario, he kept saying, for the record. Everything you say for that person there, where she's acting as the clerk, that's the most important person in that courtroom. Documentation. Because every time you say for the record, it's on there. And they have to comply with the record, because if not, they can be held themselves in contempt.
And you gotta watch them sometimes. The magistrate was like, don't put that on the record. You don't have to put that
Or they might say stricken that from the record.
Yeah.
So it's different ways and different tactics. We was using words like, do you understand, and things of this nature. Mr. Thompson or Mr. Levante. You know, all of these are suretyship words. You know, to be contracted into suretyship, meaning the person responsible, is always done orally, not paperwork wise, really.
And we never understand. Never understand. We don't understand under anyone. We overstand.
It's actually, to be honest with you, no. It's certain things like in trial juries, like when it's a trial by a jury and somebody might blurt out and say something off count, the judge might be like, jury,
disregard that.
Yeah, disregard that or stricken that from the record. You know, that's why they try to really catch you in yes or no type of questions. You know, that's why you want to do the same thing to them. Never make statements while you're in court, because you'll have to prove your statements. Always ask questions. Always. The U.S. Constitution guarantees to every state in this union a Republican form of government. Any other form of government is forbidden. No public officers or branch of government can be limited to the ruling class or any kind, or the states become aristocracies and not republics. Also, the lawyers have made themselves first-class citizens, where many public offices and branches of government are open to lawyers only. All other people are limited to only 2 branches of government and to only certain offices in those 2 branches of government. making all people who are non-lawyers into second-class citizens. I'll give you an example. At this point in time, right after I told the judge I'm a natural flesh and blood man, and she went into recess. Like, you know what? Let's see what he's about. So I go out, and the public defender was like, I've never heard of the special appearance before, and I think I know more about the law than you. Right then and there, it just confirmed that I'm on the right track because I have the Black Law Dictionary in front of me, and it has the definition of a special appearance. So you can't tell me that I'm not on point when the judge knew exactly what I was talking about. So that just let me know that they'll try to disregard you in some instances, letting you know that you don't know which paperwork to fill out, but greater is he that is in me than that's in the world. And that's really what you gotta constantly keep a reminder of. They're practicing some type of satanic ritualism, using words and like casting spells. I always wonder why the English language was so hard to learn for foreigners, because each words have at least 900 different meanings depending on what language you're speaking.
But Deborah, wasn't she right when she said that she knows the law, because doesn't she have a license to practice law?
She understands her statutes and codes and things and ordinances way better than I. But, I deal with the law, the law of the Creator.
And I guess my point for that as well was, like you said earlier, none of them, you don't need a license to practice law.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
You can even ask them, I never seen a bar card before. Can you show me your bar card? I just like to see it.
They want you to think.
Won't show it.
I graduated from DePaul, and I went here, went that. They all took an oath to uphold the bar. Not the Constitution. The bar stands for what again?
British Credit Registry.
British.
And that's like the an off chart for the Temple Bar that's in London. So anytime you're in London, they don't have the bar association. They got the Temple Bar. So let me read the second paragraph. When the courts belong to the people, as the United States Constitution requires, Article 4, Section 4, we the people would never rule against themselves. In these unconstitutional courts, foreign tribunals, hoodlums, centered men in black robes that are unconstitutional robes of nobility, which is violation of Article 1, Section 9 and 10, dispenses a perverted ideology where the people are terrorized by members of the black robe cult, lawyers and lawyer judges. The legislative branch of government does not have the constitutional powers to issue court orders or any other kind of orders to people. As a fiction court or a court corporation for profit and gain cannot reach parity with a lawful man. Only presidents and governors have the constitutional power to grant pardons, but lawyers and lawyer judges are unconstitutionally granting pardons with immunity from prosecution. Citizens are not permitted to act like people in courts. The citizen, second class, is told that he does not know how to fill out fancy lawyer forms, that he is not trained in law, that he does not know court rules and other procedures, etc. This is unconstitutional. The lawyer system, only hearsay substitutes, not under oath, have the access to the fiction for profit and gains courts. Only sworn testimony and evidence can be presented in court. Anything else is a bill of attainder. So when someone says we might have something, or someone might ask a question to the prosecutor, are you prepared to testify under oath with first-hand knowledge of the alleged charges in this matter? And he might be like, no, I'm representing the state. Well, I need you to enter into the record of this proceeding your license to practice law, not a bar card. Be very specific when you ask things of that nature. Not a bar card to show that you have proper standing as an agent for the plaintiff.
Or an agent to represent the plaintiff.
The state is who? Nobody is ever gonna come forward when they say I'm representing the state, because the state don't exist. You know, so if you ask for a contract with their plaintiff, you know, these are different ways to dismantle their table in court. You know, it's only 4 legs that they really actually have to stand on. And if you dismantle them, then, you know, they have nothing to stand on, and you can walk in and out of court with no fear. Really, like I said, anytime we're in court, it's not meant for us. You know, a live man or a live woman is not meant to be in place designed for fictional entities. That's why you have a lawyer, because they want to be the agent for your fiction. That's just like you representing your shadow. Your shadow is there, but not officially. That's what they want you to do, as far as that. Now, never make a plea into a court that has no jurisdiction over you for entertainment purposes.
If you to plead to something, plead guilty to the facts and not the charges. I tell the judge all the time, I plead guilty to the facts, not the charges.
It snatches the carpet underneath them, because where are the facts of the case? There are no facts. There are none. And the charges are trumped up, you know. Charge means to impose a duty on them. And impose means to practice deceit on them. This is what they're doing, you know. Even in the word charge is a military term. You charge a weapon, you discharge a weapon, things of that nature. You in a military tribunal, because the United States is in bankruptcy. So, you know, they're not really talking about you. They're talking about your trust account. How would these charges get paid for? Will you be able to contract remedy? Like when you said something about remedy, I was looking for a blueprint of some nature. You know, how you gonna provide remedy? Do you have cash to give to us now, or do you have a check, or you know, do you have your different form of legal tender? You know, they always ask you first. Do you know why I pulled you over? Have I committed the crime? You just simply ask them, have I committed the crime? You know, rephrase, that's a good way to, one, show authority, because again, God gave us dominion over the earth. He gave man dominion over the earth. You know, we shouldn't have, you know, these public officials. It's like, when did the servant become master? The servant didn't become master, so don't be afraid to ask questions. That's why I said, you know, ask them, have I committed a crime? I had somebody tell me, well, it depends on your definition of a crime. Oh, well, defined by Black Law Dictionary, a crime is an injured third party. Have I injured someone contractually?
Physically?
Or
property damage?
And that's dismantling them altogether. I would like to be set at liberty. Never say release, or else you will get released out.
The contract.
Am I under arrest? Am I free to go?
You know, by even answering the name, you know, you virtually step in as a trustee at that point in time when your role was beneficiary. But the beauty about court is every time you come back to court, you have to reestablish yourself. Every single time. Every single time. So, you know, you can take it with a grain of salt. That's why I encourage people to, study, take pictures, you know. Any questions, because we want to go with status, standing, and agency next time. Like,
and status, standing, and standing, causation, and agency is the 3 processes of status. Status is the first process of law. You got status, jurisdiction, and adjudication. Once you start asking you questions like, you know, how do you plead? How much schooling do you got? What kind of job do you got? Who do you work for?
Do you have
questions
a bank account?
That. Do you have a bank account? Those are all
jurisdictional questions.
Yeah.
You know?
Anything back to the straw man? Like,
where do you live?
Yeah,
do you have an address? What's your address? You know, stuff like that. So, you always want to stick to status as the first process of law, and that's standing, causation, and agency. Causation is the same as redressability, the reason why you're there in the courtroom.
Right.
So
that's why I was trying to get him to state your name for the record. don't be belligerent. Just let them know I'm here as myself in this matter, as beneficiary and grantor. That's giving them your status. That's giving them, in essence, your first name. I never really say my last name. I'll let them know. I'm here as I am Jethro Juris Bey. I am. Not my name is.
Now they over the years they've kind of tried to get clever because people were kind of becoming more knowledgeable of the straw man and everything. And you'll see sometimes you may get something of legal documentation, and they may just have the first letter of your name capitalized. Mm-hmm. But they're saying then that you're 50% a corporation. Are you any percent of a corporation? No. So it's just a way to kind of throw you off your square. So you'll hear us say that a lot. It's all about being on your square. It's all about being courteous, respectful. We're never belligerent, as Jethro was saying. We're never belligerent. We're never irate. We're never argumentative. None of that. I always, when I think of this, the picture in my head is always Farrakhan. He'll answer in a room of a bunch of hostile people, and he'll smile and just give them the facts every time. So that's the spirit that I want to exude when I'm dealing with these people out here that's trying to knock me off my square.
Yeah, another thing, you notice we was reading off charges and things and details about these charges. That's adjudication right then and there. We already on the third step of law before we even establish status and our jurisdiction. We already adjudicated, telling you what the charges are and how do you plead. Like I was reading, only sworn testimony and evidence can be presented in court. Anything else is a bill of attainder. Hearsay. Strictly hearsay. See, that's hearsay because DMX, when I think of impersonating, I think of like a DMX, pulling people over, snatching their license, and things of that nature, That's why I asked them, I use that example, I need 3 forms of identification. Because people do, impersonate officers. So you shouldn't have a problem getting supervised, things of that nature. Just to test them, as well as,
not even a supervisor. If you say the sheriff, they hate hearing it. Sheriff, I'm gonna call the sheriff.
Because the sheriff over your supervisor.
He over the county.
Over the county. Man, the sheriff is our best friend. We always call the sheriff anytime we have any type of problem.
You've already given them jurisdiction. But you say, you know what? Today I stop that. It's up to you. And when you claim your rights, claim damages, they're bargaining on no one never claiming that. That's what they're bargaining on.
That's why they keep doing it.
That's why they keep doing it. It's like red light cameras. Prime example. I get red light camera tickets. I don't pay them. Because what they do, this is all for educational, information, entertainment purposes only. When they send those out to you, it's a numbers game. Anybody that's been in sales, it's like if I talk to 100 people, I get at least 10 people. You send them out, you're going to get bites. Some people are going to be fearful and they're going to pay them tickets. Any money, any revenue they get is money. And they did it to the tune of 32 million. So people are biting on that hook.
And I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing to me, and I see that they basically like targeting me. I'm the only one out here. So I'm like, okay, study up, see what comes my way, and just go with my gut. Then I just took it from there and just got higher. Went from basically in the field, like outside on the street, to the courthouse, and I'm seeing the reactions that I'm getting and stuff like that. But I ain't go that deep into it, like how the bros is doing it. I was still like, I was like 20 doing it. But it took like baby steps, but it was like big leaps. Just being out there at TP is like, okay, like they like, oh, they not expecting this, like coming in with a turban on. They like, what? Like, what is he doing? Everybody like, why he's so special? I'm on with a wrap on my head. So they like, okay, you gotta treat him like this. But I was still learning though. But just go at your pace. Like they went at their pace is basically.
I don't know. I fight like if anybody know, I'm fighting child support cases, I got beat up by the state troopers on April the 2nd.
This past April 2nd?
Yeah.
What?
That's probably what John probably told you. I was coming from the gym, and on 1994, cop pulled over. He pulled behind me, and I seen him. And he pulled me over. So he was like, you know why I pulled you over? I was like, no. Why did you pull me over? He was like, I seen your phone in your hand. I was like, no, sir. My phone is where you see it. I have a Bluetooth speaker right there. I can play music if you want me to. And he was like, well, let me see your license. I was like, no. He was like, what do you mean no? I was like, you have no probable cause of pulling me over. I was like, again, I told you my phone was in my seat. You see it where it stands. I have a Bluetooth speaker. Why do I need my phone for? So he was a new cop. He was a new state trooper, you can tell. So he called for backup. He came back out there to talk to me. And I told him no again. So a Hispanic cop pulled up. So he got to talking reckless. And I was like, look, I don't care about your title. I don't know if you think I'm young, but I'm grown. And you're going to talk to me as such, period. So he got to keep talking. And I was like, you know what? I don't even have to talk to you at all. Where's your supervisor? So a tow truck pulled up right behind it. So I guess they thought I was going to be scared or something. So a third cop pulled up before I even got to see the supervisor. So he looked at evil, like he was on something. So he was like, if you don't get out this car, I'm dragging your ass out this car. I was like, I'm not going nowhere, especially with you talking to me like that.
Right.
He pulled out his baton, busted my window, pulled me out. They all three of them threw me on the floor. The one that broke my window had to be like 280 easy. Jumped on my back, put his knee in my back. I'm getting cut up all on my wrist. You know, cause they bust out my window, so I'm all on the glass. So when they pushed me down, I caught myself with my hands. And when they jumped on me, my hands were under me. So they was trying to get my hands, and it was like, you resisting arrest. I was like, how can I resist arrest and y'all three on top of me? Y'all at least 400-500 pounds. So they end up illegally searching my car. They ransacked it, end up taking me to jail. I got to the courthouse I was on 18th District right there by Division Larrabee. I was there from like 9 o'clock to like 4 o'clock in the morning. They towed my car. So I ended up going to the hospital because I had 9 stitches across my leg.
We was talking about special appearance. We was talking about special appearance last time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get that pulled up?
So, oh man, the funny thing about it was, I was completely calm. I wasn't belligerent at all. I knew where I was, what I was doing. I wasn't worried about anything. And when the first state trooper pulled me over, tried to get a report, I was like, look, I ain't got nothing to say to this report. You gonna say whatever you gonna say, and I'll see y'all in court, but I'm not saying nothing to you. You ain't got nothing coming from me. No matter what you do, so you can either go in the room or you can sit here. Either way, I ain't saying nothing to you.
A contract which you want to hold the defendant accountable to. You'll notice we'll never say us, me. We'll say the defendant. The defendant accountable to. You can do that, correct? Please present the contract now. I'll wait. And then they might be like, no, I don't have no contract like that. So we'll say, let the record reflect that the prosecutor cannot produce the plaintiff as a witness under oath, nor can he produce a contract to which he wants to hold the defendant liable. Therefore, he has no standing in law or equity. And we might say, Judge, I move this court for dismissal for want of prosecution and failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. In court, you'll notice that they got a lot of complaints, but no man can come forward and be like, I got a claim against you. You know?
You have the right to face your accuser. Who's your accuser? Where's he at? Present him.
Any questions? We got about 10 minutes left. Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left, so if anybody got a question?
I missed what you were saying about how you get out of the red light.
Oh no, I was just saying I didn't pay him, and I haven't had
any backlash. I get, constant calls, or, the village would call and say, a lot of the things I do village oriented, I do because I'm partnered with the village. That's the only reason why. Sherelle will be like, oh, this is due, because, she'll panic. And I'll be like, okay, fine. So I think I ended up sending them like $200, but I got probably 21 red light camera tickets. Yeah, Chicago, in the city, they'll say that they're gonna put a boot on your car. Yeah.
A lawyer, I drive a limousine. I drive a limousine a long time, so I met a lot of lawyers. And a lawyer told me when you get that paper in the mail, they send you actually going through the red light camera, get you a white sheet of paper, and put on there, this is unconstitutional, I ain't paying nothing, and mail it back to them. That's unconstitutional.
Yeah, same as I reject. Same as
agree to pay.
Yeah, same as I reject your offer.
Yeah, that's same as what they tell me. All you gotta do, bro, on a piece of paper, say, I ain't paying this, it's unconstitutional. This is not allowed. You'll never hear from me again.
That's strictly an ordinance, because there's towns in Illinois.
No, he said no opening. You know how to give you the envelope to send their money back? Put that in there with your piece of paper and say, I ain't paying nothing, it's unconstitutional.
Do not consent, do not contract.
It's not a constitutional law. When they make that, one thing the lawyers taught me, which they're gonna explain it later too, probably. Some laws, constitutional laws, some laws just law. So if you want to plead guilty to a law that it's not it's not a constitutional law, they'll let you do it if you want to. But if you challenge it and it's unconstitutional, they're gonna throw it out. So it's up to you to know what you can pay for and what you don't got.
What about putting out a Freedom of Information Act to get the policy enforcers names that, like you could say, infringe on your rights during the stop? So you told them, basically, if you stood your ground, they still said, we don't care, we're going to do this because we have more numbers than you. Like, how do you go about the process of getting all the information, like star numbers, badge numbers?
No, with that,
I went to the, after they let me out, I went to the hospital to get the stitches. I got my car, I got the window fixed, and I went to the state troopers, the headquarters out there in Des Plaines.
Okay.
And I talked to the master sergeant. I got their badge numbers.
You got everything?
I got everything.
Do they give? I always want to know about the surety bonds, because they're supposed to give you their surety bonds.
They didn't give me that. That's the one thing I didn't get that I've known about.
That's what you need.
And that's what I'm mad that I didn't get.
You need that because you can vote against their surety bond. 4 people. All it takes 4 people. Their insurance rise up. Bye bye. We can't handle you. You can't be on this force no more.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's why.
Always talking about pulling their car.
Yeah, every time they.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
That's the pulling the card. That's it.
Hitting their pockets, because it's like, it's not coming out of the, like, state, it's coming out of, like, basically you, so you're going to be out of a job and take a bond. That's neat.
I didn't think about that during the time, but
That's
People
why
doing
you
that now.
ask
Like, that's what they said,
identification.
get these insurance agencies that fund them, because they got the grant, and they're like, get rid of that office.
Yeah, that's why every time one of them are taking an oath, the insurance agent is right in the back with them. You know, bonding them.
You're liable, because you walking around with this corporate tag on you. So
He
everything
did
you
an
do,
unlawful
we
stop.
account.
And then you under threat, duress, coercion. You're not on the equal playing field as them two, because they got guns.
Kidnapping.
kidnapping,
Assault.
So the case is
Trust
in motion.
the first case is Thursday on the 31st.
Okay. So their thing, what they're gonna try to get you with is resisting arrest. That all.
For resisting arrest and whatever the phone.
What courthouse?
I gotta be at Man Daily. I can pull it out right now.
Oh, the Daily Center downtown.
Yeah, the Daily Center downtown.
Status Center and the agency would be a great one for him to see how that happened.
Again, I want to thank everyone for being here, and again, this is for educational, informational purposes only. I want to thank Brother Jeriah for being here with us today. Brother Jeff Rowe. And same time next week, we're going to get on. We really stayed on trust law pretty much tonight. We're going to get into canon law next week. And you guys know the different law. You get trust, canon, ecclesiastical, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to hit all of them. Write down anything. It's going to be things that may come in your head throughout the week, write them down, bring them when you come so that we'll be able to address everything right here. Okay? All right.
I would like to thank you guys for tuning in to this segment of Talk to Genesis Omega. I hope you guys learned everything that you need to know when you go into the courtroom. I want you guys to study this. I want it to be useful for you guys, and I want you guys to truly stay woke. It's a lot of us that are asleep, and we just need to wake up. Remember to study your books of the law. Until next time.